Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are working on Twelfth Night and we only have 2 of these left to go and then we're done with this play and we get to move on to the next thing. But before we get there, we do need to hear from Malvolio today in Act 5, Scene 1, which is the only scene in Act 5. And Malvolio, if you remember, was sort of locked up because they thought he was crazy because he was smiling and wearing yellow stockings that were cross-gartered. So he was put in jail, but he got Feste to bring him ink and paper and pen and light so that he could write a letter to Olivia in the hopes that she would release him. And we started out this scene with Fabian trying to get that letter from Feste. Feste wouldn't do it. Then Orsino comes in and has a little interaction with Feste. Feste ends up going to get Olivia. Cesario, Viola, recognizes Antonio and is like, hey, that's the man that saved me. And Orsino's like, hey, that's the guy that caused my nephew to lose his leg. And Antonio's like, really, I'm not a bad person, but that one standing right by you is, because I did all these nice things for him and I even gave him my money and he refused to help me. And Viola's like, what? What? But then Olivia comes in and she and Orsino shared some words back and forth, which got a little bit more heated and more frustrating for them. Orsino is also maintaining that Cesario has been with him for the last 3 months, despite what Antonio says. Orsino says that he's still never going to love Olivia. Viola addresses Cesario, admits that she loves Orsino. Olivia is like, wait a second, but you're my husband. What's that all about? And Viola's like, wait, what? And then a priest comes in and verifies that he married Viola, Cesario, and Olivia the night before. And Viola's like, what? I didn't marry a woman. I've never married a woman. I would never marry a woman. Not that there's anything wrong with that. She just doesn't go that way. But then Sir Andrew Aguecheek comes in and he's like bleeding from the head because remember, Sebastian beat him up because he went and smacked Sebastian. And then Sir Toby comes in and he's also bleeding from the head, and the two of them do their little bit and then they go off to get all patched up. And then Sebastian comes in and he's like, hey, sorry I had to beat up your guys, but they kind of, came and confronted me. And everybody's like, wait a second, wait, there's 2 of them now. What? And it takes Sebastian a minute for this to click. Like, he does a whole reunion thing with Antonio first, and Antonio's like, really? You're Sebastian? And Sebastian's like, yeah, of course I am. And then it clicks. There's 2 of them standing looking exactly alike, standing next to each other. So Sebastian and Viola do that little thing of like, my dad had a mole. My dad also had a mole. I used to have a sister, but she drowned. I used to have a brother, but he drowned. That whole thing. And they realize that they are the long-lost siblings, which then everybody understands why there's 2 of them and what a lot of this confusion was about. And Orsino, at this point, turns to Viola, who has mentioned that the boat captain from the very beginning of the play has her clothes and can verify her story, that she disguised herself as a man, but she is really Viola, to get into Duke Orsino's employ so that she would be safe as a single woman in this town alone. So Orsino turns to Viola and is like, so you say that you love me. If I could see what you look like as a woman, maybe we should get married? And she's like, okay, cool. So now we have Olivia paired off with Sebastian, yay. We have Orsino paired off with Viola, yay. But we still have to deal with Malvolio. And as this little proposal is going on, Olivia's sort of like, oh yeah, Malvolio can do, oh wait, Malvolio's still kind of locked up. Why don't let's go get him out. So they go to get him. Meanwhile, Feste comes in and shares the letter that Malvolio had written to Olivia. And they're all like, this doesn't sound like he's crazy. And then Malvolio comes in himself and he says to Olivia, he's like, you have insulted me. You have hurt me. You've done me some serious wrong. And she's like, no, I haven't. What have I done? And Malvolio says, lady, you have. Pray you peruse that letter. You must not now deny it is your hand. Write from it, if you can, in hand or phrase, or say 'tis not your seal, not your invention. You can say none of this. Well, granted then. And tell me, in the modesty of honor, why you have given me such clear lights of favor. bade me come smiling and cross-gartered to you, to put on yellow stockings, and to frown upon Sir Toby and the lighter people. And acting in this an obedient hope, why have you suffered me to be imprisoned, kept in a dark house, visited by the priest, and made the most notorious geck and gull that e'er invention played on? Tell me why. So what he's saying is, I have proof. I have proof that you did me wrong. Look at this letter that I have where you told me to smile and be mean to Toby and to wear the yellow stockings and to be cross-gartered. He's like, this is written by you with your seal that you sent to me. And now with you giving me all of these signals and me doing everything that you told me to do, why did you lock me up in the dark and throw away the key? Like, what kind of sense does that make? So Olivia takes the letter and looks at it and she says, I didn't write this, Maria did. It's obvious. It's obvious. It's her handwriting. And then Fabian is going to step in for tomorrow's monologue, which will be the last monologue we get to hear from this play. We'll wrap it all up. We'll do a recap, a brief little debrief thing. And then the day after that, we'll move on to the next thing. So I'll see you tomorrow as we wrap this one up. Mwah.